According to Adam Schefter, Deion Sanders just met with Jerry Jones. And you know what that means. We got to go to Fantasyland because there's a good chance that he could be the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. And in this fantasy land, we're going to the mock draft simulator and we're simulating the draft with the Dallas Cowboys with the #1 overall pick and how that changes the rest of the NFL draft. Before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're maxing out these mock drafts. We're doing all types of scenarios. We are looking at how we can break this NFL draft this offseason, what these drafts could look like and could look like for your team. Click that button, stop missing out. But the Dallas Cowboys traded the farm and Dak Prescott to get up to the #1 overall pick. Deion Sanders is happy. We know what he's going to do with this pick here on the board, and he's running to the podium, and there's a lot going on in Big D right now, but Shedeur Sanders is now the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, which puts the Cleveland Browns at the 2nd overall pick here on the board, and they're running to the podium, and they're going to be selecting Cam Ward because we got to patch up the quarterback spot. We are done with Deshaun Watson. At least 2025 isn't really going to be a thing. It's just not due to the Achilles issue there. Cam Ward coming off the board for the Cleveland Browns. Now I'm thinking about the New York Football Giants. There's a chance for Travis Hunter here. I'm seeing a lot of people mock Travis Hunter to them. Abdul Carter is a specimen, and anybody could draft him really once those quarterbacks come off the board. Honestly, when I think about him, we got to go offensive line. We're going to reach a little bit. We're going to get Will Campbell. We're going to add talent to that offensive line. We're looking at the Patriots now at pick 4, and we're getting Drake May, his weapon, and we're drafting old T-Mac from Arizona. Just getting the ball skills downfield, that's really going to help the passing game. Looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars at pick 5, this is when Travis Hunter's coming off the board. He's multifaceted. You can use him at wide receiver. You can use him at DB. Travis Hunter, come on down to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Raiders are on the board here. And I'm looking at Abdul Carter right now. Just a specimen. And you'll make it happen with him. You're just going to have to make it happen. This is a stud player coming off the board. You're not letting him fall any further. I think he fell too far in the draft as it is. I like him a lot. Jets are on the board. Mason Graham is coming down to them at the defensive line spot. And this is a good pick for the Jets. Getting some girth for the interior defensive line. And now we're looking at the Carolina Panthers. And we're running to the podium. And we're going to go something a little different with them. Malik Starks usually falls a little bit in our drafts. Not today. We're going to Carolina. The Saints are on the clock. We got Luther Burden looking at us in the face. They need another wide receiver with Chris Olave, who's been banged up with concussions. Luther Burden, come on down. At pick 9 off the board, you're a top 10 wide receiver in this draft. The Chicago Bears are on the clock, pick 10. They got a lot of needs. I think offensive line is a huge deal for them. And the guard center spot is not likely in the first round. You got Josh Simmons. You got Kelvin Banks. I think we're going to spend up for a tackle here. We're going to go Kelvin Banks, and we're just going to pay up a little bit. Guys might not be happy about that, but that's what we're going to do. Moving on down here to the 49ers. We got a lot of options here. Tackle is something you might be looking at. On the defensive line is something that you might be looking at. But those positions seem like they're zapped up right now. Let's take a look at defensive line here. Right here. We got Kenneth Grant. That's a little bit of a reach. However, let's just look at what's available. Ashton, Jeanty, they're probably not going to make that move. Jalen Walker. Josh Simmons at tackle. Josh Simmons coming back from that knee injury. You're going to the Niners. They get a good push up front. This is something that they might be able to wait on a bit, and he might be back sooner than later. So we're going to pull the trigger there. Now we're looking at the Titans. Starting off, they had the first overall pick. Quarterback's not a need anymore. They got Dak Prescott in this scenario, and they got a few other picks. We got to get him some weapons. We got to keep him up right here. On top of that, what we're looking at off the board, Will Johnson's coming at a big discount. Falling in this draft in their lap. They're going to pull the trigger there. We're looking at the Miami Dolphins. Tackle and defensive line is what we're really looking at here. Safety has not fallen to them. Usually it does in this draft. Kenneth Grant. We're just going to spend up for him a little bit in this draft. Michigan is just flying off the board here today. Colts are on the clock. One of the better gets in the draft, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Staring them right in the face. I've mocked him a few times already to the Colts this year. Tyler Warren. This is going to be huge. Huge for this offense. Just getting another pass catcher to help this team out. Going to the Colts. Now we're looking at the Atlanta Falcons. Linebackers, an area of need for them per PFF. Jalen Walker's right there. We got some edges too. Walker, the talent is there for him to go off the board here. I like him there going to Atlanta. I've mocked him there before. Now we're looking at the Arizona Cardinals. And honestly, one of my big pulls is off the board here for them. And we're looking at what we could go here for them off the board. And we might go a little rogue. And we might go edge. Because I like Mykel Williams. I like him. I don't want to see him on the board anymore. We're going to pull that trigger. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. We do not know what's going to happen with T. Higgins. But Jermaine Burton has been a head case. We need a wide receiver 3. There's a lot to pay for a wide receiver 3 here. But I think this is going to be a good get for this team. Nonetheless, you got contracts to work out. We're going to pull the trigger on Emeka Egbuka again. Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. We got Scorton on the board. We got Stewart. We're going with Scorton right now. We're getting them their edge. Denver Broncos are on the clock. We got some guys to look at here. The tight end position. We're going Colston Loveland for them. We're getting Bo Nix, another guy to throw the ball to. I think that's a great idea. Benjamin Morrison is one of my favorite players, and I've mocked him too many times to the Buccaneers, so I'm staying away just because of that. So if you know me enough that if I start mocking a guy too much to a team, I'll start going rogue. I like James Pierce, and I like pulling the trigger on him, and I think he's going to be a riser. And I believe he's going to be a first-round option. They got him as a fringe player, ranked 30th. We're going to go with him for the Bucs. Big player is falling off the board here, and it's going to the Steelers, and it's a position of need, even though it's not listed by PFF. Ashton Jeanty to the Pittsburgh Steelers. In real life, I do not see him falling this far, but it's a possibility with how deep the running back position is. However, we lost Nicholas Singleton. We're not getting him in the draft. That being said, it's a little bit more shallow, but it's still very deep. Ashton Jeanty coming off the board to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Rams are on the clock. Tight end, tackle, linebacker, cornerback. Benjamin Morrison is looking at me right now. Let's just put him on the Rams because I can't see him on the board any longer. It's going to make me sad. Now we're looking at the Chargers. And what if we get another Buckeye rushing the passer? What if we do that? The Michigan man drafting Buckeyes here. Let's do that. We had him mocked to the Lions a few times because he looks like a good kneecap biter. Now we're looking at the Packers here. And 24th off the board, edge rusher is falling into their lap. We're going to get Shamar Stewart right there to the Packers. Texans on the clock here. Wide receiver is a guy that we might look at here. Matthew Golden has rose the rankings here for PFF. He has not been this high, but we just declared. And we got a tackle falling into our lap. But Tyleik Williams, there's a lot of girth there. That could help out this team a lot. We're going to be pulling a trigger there. Another Buckeye is coming off the board here. Washington Commanders are on the clock. Wide receiver is a position of need. However, we got some other needs we got to fill. Looking on down the board here at some other prospects, we have some edges that we could get. Cornerback's another position of need here. And we're going to draft Trey Amos, one of my favorite corners, to the Commanders. Now we're looking at the Baltimore Ravens. A tackle is a position of need per PFF. We have one falling into their lap. We're going to Mizzou here. We're getting them their guy. Now we're looking at the Minnesota Vikings. Running back is a position that they're going to want to patch up soon. They're going to be drafting late, and deep into the second round and third round are not going to be good looks. Aaron Hampton, once they're done with Aaron Jones, is going to be a good get for them, and they can allow him to develop for a year. And this is going to be a good spot here. This is going to be a good spot for him. Coming off the board for the Buffalo Bills, defensive line, linebacker, cornerback, and we're going with Barron here from the Texas Longhorns, coming off the board for the Buffalo Bills. The Philadelphia Eagles, usually something falls to them that is very sexy, and what I like for them here is our boy Prince, coming off the board to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Chiefs are now on the clock. Tackle is a need for them. Josh Connerly for the Oregon Ducks is there. We're going to pull the trigger there. And now we're going to finish up. 32nd pick off the board to the Detroit Lions, who's a tough player that we could see Dan Campbell drafting, that eats kneecaps, that has the gusto, that could be a good get for the Detroit Lions. I am going to pull the trigger here on TJ Sanders. Detroit Lions get their guy. Overall, with Deion Sanders in the draft, with how this looks, not much changes. This draft gets kind of wild, but it's actually starting to stabilize with these drafts, with the team needs and the fits here. Some of this is starting to make a little bit more sense. The last draft didn't, but we were trying to make some changes from the other drafts. This draft, I made some changes from those drafts, but not too much. We're also experiencing some risers here in the PFF ranks. Jack Sawyer, after his big game, he rose. Usually he's just falling into day 2. Usually he's falling into day 2 in the ranks. Right now he looks like he might be a first rounder on PFF. That being said, he's rising. Aaron Hampton might sneak into the first round. There's options in the back end of the first round. We saw it with the Chargers when we're drafting. We can think about that with the Vikings here. There are some options here for Aaron Hampton to sneak in the first round. There's a big possibility for that when you try Galaxy Brain these drafts. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.